All right, hello and welcome to the Matchday Vlogs. Actually, this is the first time we've done one of these shows. It is our opposition. It's not a preview; it's a review with a guest, Connor from the Cop Council. We've got Jack, as always, in the room, and of course myself. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If it's your first time on the channel, please remember to hit subscribe and smash that like button. And let's get straight into it. So. First of all, Connor, welcome to the show. It's very gracious of you to join us. Do you know what? Me and Jack were talking last night. We were gutted to not be there at the stadium because the amount of games we've been to at St Mary's to watch Liverpool play Southampton and it's not ended well. And then finally, we get a win. We gave our thoughts after the game last night, so I'm just going to let you go straight ahead, Connor. And I particularly am very curious as to what you think about your squad's performance, because I think a couple of key things that me and Jack mentioned last night was only one shot on target, and it's not like you've been banging them in for the last few games. So take it away. What's going wrong?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head right there. Liverpool haven't been scoring at all over the last couple of weeks, and before I say anything as well, I have to congratulate Southampton from the start. I'm not one of these bitter fans that will go, oh, if we had this chance given to us, this chance given to us. At the end of the day, it's all about goals. We should score them. At the end of the day, being Liverpool and having the players that we do. So fair play, and especially I like it as well that it was Danny Ings. If it was any other player, I would have gone, oh, but it was nice that it was Danny Ings. To be fair, let's go the goal.
Yeah.
But
in the same way we feel when Mane scores against us, we're like, oh, it's Mane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Mane. Yeah, to be fair though, it's one of these things where Liverpool over the last couple of weeks have been shocking going forward, and there's no explanation for it. That's the frightening thing with Liverpool at the moment, is that there's no explanation towards it. We all thought it was, oh, Thiago, okay, we could play him, and then against low block teams that will play five at the back against us and things like this, we'll try and break through them, or of course the quality from Trent and Robbo, that's usually the answer for us, but that just hasn't happened over the last couple of weeks, and I don't know whether or not it's because of the lack of fans and the lack of I don't know, the lack of motivation towards the game, because I know having fans there, I think it was Liverpool and Everton were the last to have them, obviously before lockdown again and that, but I think that's an added element to it, the fact that Liverpool had fans and then not had fans, and I think that's the same with the rest of the Premier League, not only Liverpool. I think that Sheffield United are one team that's been massively hit by no fans, in my personal opinion, but it's a weird one, and I can't really explain what is wrong with Liverpool. The only person I can probably pinpoint it to is not having Diogo Jota, which is a bit of a lackluster thing for us. But again, not having a centre off, I think that is the main key issue for Liverpool at the minute. Having to play Fabinho at centre back, having to play Henderson at centre back, it's not good. That's just leave it at that. It's not good.
As soon as we saw Jordan Henderson starting centre back, I was like, all right, we got a chance now. There's a little, there's something there. And
we were massively worried, weren't we, Joe? Because we looked at our lineup, and we had Vestergaard's out injured, Romeo was out injured, Shea Adams had a concussion, so we had lots of players out, and we looked at our bench and thought, we don't actually know who some of these players are. We've literally never heard of them. There's one guy from the under-17s in there. And so we were proper panicking. And then when Jack told me the lineup at Liverpool, I thought, they're playing midfielders in defence. Oh, maybe this might be a bit of fun after all. So
when you looked at it bench to bench, and then you thought, oh, we're gonna lose our legs at a certain point. And then when it gets to 85th minute, and Klopp still doesn't use that third sub, and why not? I don't understand why he wasn't bringing on Origi or Minamino, because I felt like that. As soon as that happens, I thought that we were going to be in trouble. As soon as you made that attacking up switch, I thought this is going to. But that just never came.
No, it was frustrating at times with the substitutions, because I think all of Liverpool fans could see Hendo at centre back wasn't working, and we could quite clearly see it was not working, and we were like, okay, that's fine. We've got 45 minutes. Take off Ox, because Ox wasn't at his best yesterday. Put Henderson back into the box box-to-box role. Then you've got, probably our best box-to-box midfielder back in and turning up the pace of the midfield a little bit, and then we can kick going again. And it wasn't that at all. It was Klopp, he grinded it out until 55 minutes or something like that, and then he changed it up by bringing on crap. I've even forgotten who we brought on, but we brought on someone. I thought James Milner. I think it was Milner. Actually, yeah, Shaqiri. And we brought Shaqiri on to maybe change things up, and it did change, the system a little bit. We went more to a 4-2-3-1, tried to, develop it in that way, but it still wasn't working. And I just think Jordan Henderson in midfield, that was what was needed in that game, was to try and move up the midfield a little bit more, because I said, well, when Hendo isn't there, Liverpool are bad in midfield, and that's weird to say, but that is just the case. The games against Watford last season, the other defeat against Arsenal, no Jordan Henderson there, and it's just simple things. And I think, when people, last year was talking about Jordan Henderson being up there with Player of the Year, and saying, oh, he doesn't deserve to be there, and he doesn't, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, he's not in his league. Yes, in terms of, ability wise, no, he's not. He's not on the level of Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is, up there with one of the best in the world, let alone midfielders. But it's the the leadership from Jordan Henderson. It's telling the players where they got to be, shouting, screaming, it's everything to do with the captain role, and try and push people forward and keep them in a position. And that's where I think as well we're missing with Virgil van Dijk. He'll shout at Trent, Robbo, get into positions, and that probably
Virgil who? Virgil who?
Do you mean Vestergaard? You meant Vestergaard.
Oh yeah. Vestergaard, the defender we haven't signed yet. So we've signed everyone else. So we'll sign Vestergaard at the end of January anyway. But yeah, it is what it is, and I think
like you say, you're playing players out of position, and actually the goal that we scored. If you have a look closely, you watch Stuart Armstrong. What he does is he pushes Henderson off, so he makes that Danny Ings is onside. So the line is actually quite straight, apart from Stuart Armstrong pushing Henderson on, so it's playing Danny on, and we get a goal. So it's kind of like can I have a watch of that? It's fun to watch. No, I think
that may be fun for some people, but not for me.
Right? Yeah, I didn't really think that through when I said that out loud.
No.
But there we go. But
losing Henderson in the middle of the park there is kind of like when we lose Danny Ings. It's not just that position that you lose. It's what he brings to the press and the pass and defending. You lose so much more than just that position. And with Henderson not being in that exact spot to be able to do his job properly and having to do somebody, it's like he's trying to do somebody else's job. He's almost playing like you're missing a centre back and he's just having to duck back and try and get up again.
Yeah,
it was hard to watch, and made me wonder why of the two, I would have thought maybe put Milner back there and then leave Hendo in the middle if you're gonna have to rely to putting a midfielder at the back, because at least Milner can play a bit all over the place a bit more, and you're not as reliant on him in the middle.
Yeah, the frustrating part mainly about it was yesterday was the fact that we had two centre backs on the bench. That's the most frustrating part about it. We had Nat Phillips, we had Reece Williams as well. They were both there, so it's like there's no excuses for not playing a centre half there. Maybe Klopp thought that if Liverpool are going to be playing at the back, maybe we could do a ball over the top with Hendo, and we get one of our classic goals, if you want to call them that. With Sadio Mane, but nothing happened yesterday. There was no creativity there, and to have, like you lad said, having our first shot on 75 minutes or so, or there around, it's not good enough. No. And I'm just looking at the stats now, and it's 17 shots we had, and our first shot on target and our only shot on target was on 75 minutes. It's just not good enough, and that's the be all and end all.
Yeah, it was. It was just crazy, especially with Fraser Forster coming back in the team for the first time in ages.
We were nervous about that.
That was the night to be testing the goalkeeper, because he's I think he said that he hasn't played since almost 9 months. He's not been in goal for.
That was probably longer than that, actually.
The night to really test him, and he didn't have to do a job really, apart from that one little save. That was offside. In fact, it was offside. But
the shot by Mane wasn't. But going back to your point about sorry, Saint 194 has already put up a comment here. Hands off Vestergaard. Yep. Amen to that. Going back to your point about the squad depth, the fact that you had 2 centre backs on the bench, because I constantly go on this channel on and on about these top club managers complaining about the fixture lists and how congested it is, and I always look at their squads and think like the reason why you have a deep squad is for this very reason. Now Liverpool have had a lot of injuries. You have been susceptible to a lot of injuries, but even still, you still have these top quality players available. So does that wind you up, the fact that these players aren't being used in these fixtures? I mean, especially when you look at the likes of Southampton last night, where we were playing players that we didn't even know existed were appearing on a bench.
Yeah. Not really, because I think.
Or does it surprise you?
Yeah, it does surprise me a little bit with the fact that there is a centre half there ready to play, and he's not playing in his position. But it's not like if Henderson hasn't played centre back before. It wasn't just like a complete surprise for us.
Yeah.
He's played there, I think,
Right.
3 or 4 times for us before. And he's already played there, I think, for about 25 minutes against Fulham this season. Anyway, and and with the substitutions bit, I think the fact that we have such a congested, period, I don't think, because I have this conversation with like a load of like people I do videos with, and then we were speaking like, I think with Klopp and many other managers, they don't want it for the selfish reason. They want it for for the squad rotation and just be able to
Right.
rotate a couple of players in and out. But I think the likes of Pep Guardiola, like managers like that, and Jose Mourinho, I think they want it as an advantage because you with City as well, especially their bench. Their bench is like what 500 million at least. Yeah, like it's ridiculous in that. But it is for that small clubs as well, where maybe if you could bring on like a 4th sub, that would be a bonus towards them and that. But in terms of not using subs, that does frustrate me a little bit. I think we played West Brom and Klopp didn't make any substitutes until like the 80th minute, and I was like, why? like nothing's happening. Change stuff up, and and then they obviously went on and scored, and that cost us 2 points. But it is just. It is a huge debate, and like other teams will say different things. I can go on and say that I think that the 5 substitutes would be beneficial for now, but other fans could say, you guys could say, you prefer 3 and that. And I think the majority of fans would prefer it as 3, but I think there are people out there that are seeing, where the managers that are going on about 5 substitutions are actually coming from, and that in that aspect of things anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it, because actually when they put the vote forward as to whether or not managers want to continue with the 5 substitutions, Ralph Hasenhüttl was one of the ones that voted for 5 substitutes, which we were all baffled by, because we were thinking like, well, we can't actually name 5 substitutes for starters. We were brig on. But the reason being that is the high press intensity, high intensity football that we play, it exhausts players. So when you're looking at pushing forward from like the 70th minute, simply players are gassed out, that you would actually prefer to have that rotation. But I think the argument for the clubs that are involved in Europe, like for instance, if you've got a couple of teams who are both involved in Europe, who have both played a high fixtures, who both agreed to have 5 substitutions, then I'm kind of all right with it. But it does worry you when you're thinking like the likes of, someone like a Man City, as you say, can completely change their squad and the whole dynamics of the game and completely freshen up with world-class talent 2 times over. Is that fair? It's just
it's not. Like at the end of the day, it's not.
No.
Like it's funny enough for me to say, like, because we could like play Shaqiri, Origi, and Minamino, and then bring on the front 3 and more. But I think in terms of like not being as selfish, I think it would be beneficial towards the teams like Burnley and other teams like this that could change things. But it's like you said, they might not be able to name 5 substitutions, and that's why they want to keep it as 3. And to be fair, that's what I think they would prefer. Anyway, just traditional football where it's just 3 substitutions.
Yeah, Jack, you've had your comments on this before, haven't you, in regards to the substitutions? Like, if Raul can't see us being improved, then why do you need to make a substitution?
Is that if you can't strengthen the squad, then why would you make the substitution? And the more and more we get injuries, the more we end up playing really deep into the game, not making any subs. So for me, we're a team that lose a lot of points in the last 10 minutes of the game, and I don't want to give any other team any more advantage to be able to take those moments in those games, because we already suck at those moments. I know we've definitely improved on that. Our form is really, really great right now. It's kind of unreal, but I still don't trust us in the last 10 minutes of the game. Look at the United game. Look at that Cavani. If they can only have 2 substitutions, I might not have seen Cavani. Lower it. Just don't stop giving other teams advantages against me. I'm selfish in the other sense of it. I don't care about your Champions League draws. I don't care about them. I care about fighting for 8th.
Yeah. But in regards to the Liverpool players from last night, I mean, can you point any blame at anyone's door? I mean, they were talking about sort of lackluster in the final third. Do you think anyone in particular was below par of what they normally would be?
Why do you keep sticking with Firmino? Why do they keep sticking with Firmino? He's so dry.
Firmino is so good. Like I won't even fathom this conversation. I've had so many people saying, why do Liverpool still play Bobby Firmino? Why? He's so good. And okay, last night's an example. Like, everyone was crap last night. There is 1 or 2 players that I have got a bit of wasting with yesterday. One of them's Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I will talk about that in a moment. But Bobby Firmino, he yes, he doesn't get the goals, and he doesn't get the 10, 15, 20 goals a season, as you would want from a number 9. But he is that more with Liverpool when Liverpool are on fire, and the Spurs game is an example as that. When he got that header in the 4th minute, 95th minute, he's always there and can always be there as an option as well. And I always refer back to a game last season against Chelsea in the Super Cup. I think we played Ox in the 9 role for about 45 minutes. He did an okay job, and then as soon as we did substitute Bobby on, it just changed the game completely. And then, of course, we actually went on to win the Super Cup and that. So it's just that he is a game changer. But I can see what other fans think oh, he should be scoring goals. This front 3 is meant to be, this dominant front 3. Everyone keeps on talking about him and that. But he does so much more than score goals. He wins back possession. He helps out with the midfield. Can help out with defense. He is everywhere. He's like our Brazilian N'Golo Kante, but up front, it's that. But it has frustrated Liverpool fans over the last couple of weeks that he hasn't scored goals. I will admit that. There has been a few Liverpool fans, but I think Bobby, he is just so much more than what meets the eye, really. I think you would have to watch him, week in, week out to truly love him for the player he is. But any particular Liverpool players that I was upset with yesterday? Yeah, Trent was one. I think he set the record for losing possession, was it? I think he lost it 36 times, which was the most out of any Premier League player all season, which was just ridiculous. I think that just proved, his game. I think he was at fault for your goal. I thought he could have cleared it instead of trying to, do whatever he tried to do. I can't even explain what he tried to do, but he should have just cleared it and got it away instead of trying to maybe control it. The other players as well, I think that Mo, again, was lost in many respects. He has done fantastic for us throughout December and throughout the season, really. He's probably been, apart from Andy Robertson, probably our player of the season. But it's just some games he does go very much missing. And I don't know whether or not if that's a lead up of fatigue or if there's something else. I don't know. But it's just those games when he is quiet these days, he is quiet. Back 2 seasons ago when he had a quiet game, he still scored. When he went on that 32 goal Premier League run and that, and it has been like that for a while. He hasn't scored as many, when he is off, and that, not like a Ronaldo or Messi. They're top tier in the bracket, but when they're having bad games, they can just switch on in an instant. And I think Mo hasn't been able to do that this season. He's had to be on it from the start of the game. But yeah, just those 2 in particular was my little niggle for the game, really.
Right. I mean, was he playing out of position at all? But that was his normal position, right? There was on that
No,
right side coming down.
yeah, he was. To be fair, everyone was in position apart from Jordan Henderson. But
Right.
again, like that was not his his problem, and it was just a weird game yesterday. That right hand side just didn't work. Ali, to be fair, Ali didn't look. You could have scored two. I think if Theo Walcott got it through the legs of Ali, and if it was a bit more pace on the ball, it would have been 2-0. And that's, so we're a bit fortunate with that. But yeah, like,
Oh, that was that Valerie chance, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't explain it. That legit sums up our game yesterday. I legit can't explain what happened.
Right.
That's how weird of a performance that was from us anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think you came up against the Southampton side who probably had their best defensive display since that Man City game that we also won 1-0. And I think there's a couple of unsung heroes from last night's game in terms of the Southampton side of things. That one of which was definitely Jack Stevens. Had an amazing game.
Yeah.
And actually, you look at how often that Fraser Forster was being tested. He was put under Jack Stevens was just throwing himself in front of all these strikes by Liverpool players. So he had a phenomenal game. And I actually, looking back, I think Diallo had a pretty decent game. He's probably had his best game in the Southampton shirt. Diallo's only had one other start for us this season. And when he has come on, he hasn't really done anything particularly worth mentioning.
I think he gave away a penalty his first game.
Yeah, he gave away a penalty.
That was his
Jack Grealish in the chest, and we ended up narrowly beating a team 4-3 when we should have won 4-0. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic defensive display from Southampton, which was just really, really positive. But it just felt that Liverpool were just lacking in that final third, and there were a couple of opportunities where I was thinking like, this could go a different way. But moving on to the only other contentious decision, which I've actually changed my mind since I think on our post-match show last night, I thought it was. I've had another look over and over. Is the penalty decision or the lack of penalty decision when Kyle Walker-Peters went alongside Sadio Mane. Now, here was my original take, was the fact that if Paul Pogba's penalty was given, then I could totally see this one being given. And actually in the live stream, I was like, I'll be really surprised if they don't give this. So anyway, they don't give it. And I'm thinking, we've definitely got away with one here. Now, I've watched it today as well. And from what I can see is, actually Jamie Carragher pointed out, is that Kyle Walker-Peters blocks the direction of the shot. So he doesn't actually put his leg across Sadio Mane, which is a smart move anyway. But the other thing that Mane does, which gets himself tangled up, is he reaches his leg out to try and hook on to a leg to be tripped up. So it was almost like he's reaching behind. This is very detailed, I know. But he's reaching behind to try and almost stick his leg in behind to get tripped up. Now, I thought that was incredibly clever. But
it was like he was trying to do a Rabona, but with Kyle Walker-Peters' leg.
Yeah, exactly that. So, firstly, what did you think, Connor? Was it a penalty in your mind?
There was 3 penalty talks, wasn't there, throughout the game, and they were all involved.
I would have given you 2. I would have given you 2. Three's a bit much.
3. No, look, at the end of the day, I thought that was a penalty. Okay. I did think I thought that one incident was a penalty, and it does again refer sadly towards Manchester United, and their penalty antics and that, and I think, to be fair, what is a penalty these days? That's how bad it's gotten. But I did think that was a penalty because I did think Kyle Walker-Peters did make contact with Mane, and Mane rightfully went down because yes, like I think there was once in the game where he touched Mane and Mane stayed up, and like many people were like, I should have gone down then, and I was like, well, if he does go down, he gets called a diver and that, and he's trying to score a goal and trying to get us back into the game, but I did think that one was a penalty in my personal opinion. Anyway, I thought there was contact there, and Mane went down rightfully. Then the one that has divided a bit of between Liverpool fans anyway, is the handball one where I think Genie shot it and then it hit. I don't know the Southampton player's hand that
Jack
it did hit.
Stevens that went down.
Yeah, Stevens,
Yeah, and
he was the one wearing
his
gloves.
hand.
No joking.
But I've seen like a load of people saying, well, this should have been given as a penalty. It's clearly a handball. Yes, it hit his hand, but from the distance that is being, washed him towards him, it's so hard for him to move his hand. And it's not even like if he's standing there neither. He's gone to make a challenge as well. Of course, at the time I was screaming for a penalty, like as any other fan would. But when you come to common sense, it isn't a penalty. And I've seen people go, oh well, we were given a penalty against we were conceded a penalty against Man City when Gomez's arm was right behind him, and it's like, yeah, that's true, but that's not a penalty neither. All the ones that are giving us penalties, early on in the season, they're not penalties. And that's the thing with Manchester United. Everyone keeps on referring back towards Manchester United and going, oh, well, theirs was a penalty, YNL was a penalty. And I'm like, yes, that's true. That we should definitely be getting penalties, especially if players are tripping over their and winning penalties. Like, that's just ridiculous, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's not. And then when people then refer to oh, VAR should be checking this, VAR should be doing that, I'm sick and tired of this VAR talk, because it's not the technology anymore. It's the people that are using the technology. The English 100%. Referees these days are so bad. They are so bad.
Preach it.
I feel like she's hitting organs.
No, but we've had this conversation on our channel, like our Liverpool channels, and that we've said for months and seasons that it's now the referee's fault. You look at the Champions League version of VAR, you look at Bundesliga's one, Ligas, La Ligas, you don't have the huge talking points after a game, because you're not talking about the results anymore, unless, like, of course, it's like a huge upset, like Southampton, Liverpool, for example. But it's the one in my head, okay?
Smooth.
Yeah, but we're talking more these days about referees, and we're talking about decisions coming out of games, not how teams have performed. Because yet again, what was the main talking point after this game? It was VAR yet again, and penalty decisions yet again. And that's just the way football is going to be at the minute. It's not the technology, it is the referees. And unless something is done with the referees, or, unless we have foreign referees in the Premier League, then I personally don't see any change. And we're going to be talking about this whole VAR and referee debate until forever.
Stuff, isn't it? It's all subjective stuff. I mean, Jack, I'm going to let you go on this subject in just a moment. But before I do, brace yourselves, everyone. Jack's about to go off on one on VAR. We had a handball decision like that go against us in the Fulham game, where effectively the Fulham defender was in an unnatural position, and his arm was a much further out position than Jack Stevens was last night, and we didn't get it. And do you know what? Even on that one, I was like. And actually, we were annoyed by the commentary, because they said, well, it's definitely handball, and surprised VAR didn't give it, but it's not the sort of decision you'd like to see given. And we're thinking like, yeah, Southampton fans would probably like to see it given. This is what a stupid thing to say live on air. But it didn't get given. And I think, just to bring Jack in on this, Jack's actually gone as far to say, why do we have referees on the pitch at all? Just have a traffic light system. So, Jack, I'm going to let you go on this. Go nuts.
The reason we've got VAR is because they couldn't do their job in the first place. So we got machines in to help them, and it turns out the only thing that isn't working are the idiots controlling the machines.
Are you describing Terminator 2 or Premier League football right now?
It's Terminator 2. Just go with it, all right? If it ends with the Premier League just being massive robots kicking balls at each other, that's going to be awesome, and we all know it. So, but
cheaper.
Exactly. But it really is the refs. Like, you'll be there at the games, and it'll be little decisions. It'll be yellow cards that don't get given.
Right.
You see it happen where they don't give an obvious foul, so they don't give the next obvious foul to make up for it. You see it happen in the game, and you just left wondering: is there a VAR to check on the ref's performance? Is there someone watching him to make him accountable for what the stuff that he's doing in this game?
Do they review these games?
It's a silly thing that I said, but like. But that sort of like coach's flag where they can where a manager so many times a game can be like, hold on a second, can we actually have a look at that? Like,
right,
it's almost taken out of their hands, because sometimes it needs to be taken out of their hands.
Yeah, like almost like a managerial challenge is the point.
Exactly. That's the sort of thing that that's the only solution I can see for them to be held a little bit accountable for just the silly decisions that they make. It's very American, I know, and that's not what we want, but sometimes it's an all right idea.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I personally want what the J League got in Japan, where we mic up the referees. Like, I very much want this so much, because in rugby, of course we got it in rugby, where they go to the referee, and you can hear exactly what they're saying, and I don't know why the Premier League don't want this along with referees and that, because it would be nice to find out what they're actually saying and what they're actually communicating with VAR about and that, because I think then that would be clarification to not only the players, it'd be clarification then towards the fans as well, because unless obviously it's like handball or whatever, or offside, we don't have a clue, and it's not, and it's best for us because we have the commentator saying, oh, it's because of this and that. The players are so confused at times. I believe Connor Cody said, I think a decision went against Wolves, and it was a goal, I think, and it was given as offside, and they just didn't tell him what it was for. It was just the goal's ruled out. It's not a goal, and he was asking for about 10-15 minutes, like, what was the goal disallowed for? Was it handball, offside? And the referee still didn't tell him, and I think he only found out until after the game had finished. And that is so. And if that's happening with one player, imagine what's happening, up and down the league. So it's just such a frustrating thing for not only us. It's so frustrating towards players as well. And I have the feeling as well, if it went towards a vote right here, right now, with players, with staff, with managers, if they all voted about VAR, I don't think VAR would be here, because everyone's sick and tired of it. But like we said, it's not because of the VAR itself, it's because of the people that are actually using it right now. And like I said before, unless that gets changed, then we're not going to be satisfied with football anyway.
No. I mean, it's like whenever you see a referee go over to the monitor, it's definitely going to be given. It's like, I think there's maybe only one circumstance where it hasn't been given.
And it's always the worst angle. There's every so often
in slow-mo.
Slow-mo.
They've added blood into the challenge and After Effects and all that kind of stuff. But it's going wrong when you get actually, like, I'm watching games as being a neutral, and I'm seeing Mike Dean give out yellow cards, and I'm enraged by the fact that he's giving out yellow cards. I'm thinking, why? What is that about? But it's that inconsistency that I think is winding up fans. So I think for me, and the subject of VAR, the likes of offsides, you can't argue against that. It's offside. There's no discussion on those.
Did you watch us against Everton, where like thin air was freaking offside apparently? So I can't argue with that. For me personally, I think the Champions League, what they use, the daylight rule, I think that needs to be included, because if someone's 1 millimeter offside, I'm sorry, that is no advantage.
Right.
It's no advantage at all.
But where do you start it? I mean, you had that daylight thing. I mean, it all starts somewhere, but I think it's like they were talking about sort of change of position, like from the t-shirt line, it being hand, it's like the elbow, the shoulder handballs being given and all this kind of stuff. So it's subjective calls that are really screwing the VAR thing over. But
well, they're not even consistent with that. Like,
no.
Going back to the Everton game, I think the Pickford challenge on Van Dijk, yes, it was offside, but like in normal offside, it wasn't, because I think they did it from like on his arm. They did the offside from, where yes, he was offside, but if you actually done it from like the armpit area that they like to do it from, he wasn't offside. And plus, Pickford was a dangerous play, which should have been, red card, end of story. And then of course Mane again, that whole debacle and that, and it, like you said, just watching a game of football, it doesn't just frustrate me with Liverpool, it frustrates me watching every single team in the league. Because I remember watching last season, I think it was Sheffield against Tottenham, and it was like I think it was like an image where they had like cut in like the edge of the like someone's boot was offside, and it was literally like I think a millimeter offside, and they give that out as offside. I'm like, that's not offside. Like images as well. Like it's so hard to watch with images unless he's clear cut and obvious offside. Then that should be given. Not if it is like within like a photo image of each other. It's so ridiculous and just needs to change. I'm so sick and tired of talking about VAR and referees in football.
Yeah, it is frustrating.
Man, just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Traffic light system. Yeah. It'll be great. It'll be great. Just buzzers and whistles. Multi-ball at 85 minutes to confuse everyone. It'll be great.
I like that old Budweiser advert.
Yeah, the old Budweiser advert. That's what I want the campus to be.
But I think we could probably talk about VAR until maybe Thursday, Friday next week. It's a bit carrying like this. But going back to finally finishing off with Liverpool and what's next. I mean, you guys have, is it Man United up next in the league?
Yes, we have Manchester United next in the league. At Anfield? Yeah, at Anfield. So it's a little bit of advantage, but to hear what is an advantage these days. But yeah, we've got Villa, I believe Friday in the FA Cup, which I fully expect Klopp to name the kids. If he doesn't, I'm going to get angry. Right. But yeah, the main focus now is Premier League. Get that 100. Get on a. I think this will wake up Liverpool in the sense of like, we didn't do anything against Southampton with having like 60+% possession. Having 17 shots, and we didn't do anything. And I think that will be the wake up call for us now to look at everything from that game and go, what was wrong with us. But I think as well, this season we've been phenomenal against the big teams. Our best performances this season have been against Chelsea, City. I thought we had a very good performance. Arsenal, if you want to include Arsenal in top clubs, but that's a bit debatable. Anyway, and it's just other big teams as well. Even the Everton game, I thought our performance was very good. And I think again against United, we're going to be good against United. I'm pretty confident about that. And I just don't want Manchester United to win a league title. I just do not want Manchester United to win a title.
That's a bold thing. I think.
I've said on my channel, I don't see them as title contenders. If they beat us, then I see them as title contenders.
Wow.
Right now, even though if they can go 3 points clear with their game in hand, I don't see them as title challengers. They remind me a lot of Liverpool back in 2013-14 when we had one player called Luis Suarez, and he was the best thing in the league and just absolutely destroying the Premier League. The same with Bruno Fernandes. Like, rivalry aside, he is the best midfielder right now, probably the best player in the Premier League on current form. That's
did you not see James Ward-Prowse's free kick? Did you not see that?
That must have been something in an alternative universe. I don't know what you're on about there.
Don't worry about it.
But I think
I'll send you the highlights. It was good.
I think we were talking about our predictions for the season, and actually Jack put Liverpool winning the league. I actually put Chelsea winning the league, so that all went horribly wrong.
Stupid man.
But in terms of your aspirations for the season, I've got quite a few mates who are Liverpool fans, and they were saying to me how devastating it was. You finally didn't win the Premier League, and you just can't be there to enjoy it. You can't have the fans with it. And actually, when more and more mates said this to me, I was like, yeah, that's pretty brutal to wait so long for the Premiership title and then not to be able to do it. So it's almost like you've got to do it again to hopefully
to celebrate it.
Exactly, to have that opportunity, because it's gone. You're not going to be able to do it. Klopp can say, yeah, we're going to have a party when things go back to normal. It's going to be the greatest party, but it's just you can't celebrate your 10th birthday when you're 39. It just doesn't work like that. You have to.
It's after when we won the Champions League, that celebration was mental. That just winning the 6th European Cup was an unbelievable memory, and then the entirety of last season, it was just fantastic until March, and then it was of course for everyone everything went downhill so quickly. And it was the fact. It was the fact at the beginning of lockdown one. It was like, are Liverpool going to be able to finish the league season? Are we going to be able to finish and win our Premier League title? Because I think everyone could say it. Liverpool deserved it, but it wasn't confirmed. Of course, when the league did finish, we didn't have to play anymore because I think City had 81 points towards the end of the season, and we when football stopped, we had 82. So that was a bit of a nice thought, a little bit, but it is that sense again that we need to win it again because we need to celebrate it properly. Hopefully by May, June time, all of this will be not over, because I don't think it will be over, but it will be safe then to be able to go out, celebrate, go and meet up with friends, go and party with Liverpool winning the league title. And with Klopp saying, it is, we will celebrate, don't worry, we will celebrate winning our first league title in 30 years. It's like you said, it's like celebrating your 10th birthday when you're 37. It is a bit like that. It is a bit, of that situation. But if we go on to win the league again, it's going to be crazy. Hopefully, we're celebrating in that. But I still think we can win the league this season. I think the Van Dijk injury, of course, was a huge blow in terms of our defence. But I don't think people, apart from like the games that, of course, we've lost and we've looked dodgy in, I don't think people have given us enough credit for what we've done and what we've been able to do. We've turned Fabinho into probably one of the best defensive midfielders, into probably one of the best centre-backs this season. Yes, we've had the problems with Matip and injuries and other people as well. But like I said, I don't think people have given Jurgen credit for this, because everyone expected Liverpool to fall off the block when Liverpool lost Van Dijk. They thought, Liverpool are going to finish fourth, they're going to finish fifth, they're useless without Van Dijk. And that, but I think to be where we are, yes, we're top at the minute, and we will get overtaken, with people playing their games in hand. But I said this on my channel, if we can be this time next month, if we can be top or be a point or two behind, I'd be happy. Because there's rumours that Van Dijk could be back, way earlier than expected, which is a fantastic thought, really. And the potential of us, going to sign a centre half as well, which I think is needed for us in January. But I like I said earlier, I think this will be the wake up call towards Liverpool and Jurgen. It'll be like, okay, it's time to wake up now and try to win, the 20th league title. And I do think we can go and do that. Will there be added bonuses towards that? Maybe, and fingers crossed there will be. Hopefully there will be a Champions League in that as well, but mainly and more importantly, it is just winning that league title. Get that done and dusted. No matter if we have to win it on goal difference, I do not care. Just get that league title secured for another season, and that is all I do care about this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's wide open. It's absolutely wide. I mean, you look at that top 10. I mean, you win a couple of games and you're back in contention for the league title again. It's just it's so condensed. What is like 5-6 points in that top 10?
Yeah,
so no one's running away with it. So it's almost like a lot of clubs can afford to have slip-ups. I mean, to think that Man United, who we were saying it's definitely Ollie's last game, this one, if he doesn't get a result here, he's definitely out. And he's tied at the top of the table. It's absolutely mad this season. And I think, we're not done with any kind of there's going to be plenty more slip-ups and shocks along the way. And I think that whoever wins the title this season won't need 95 points. They're going to need maybe 81.
82 or 83, yeah. Exactly. It's going to be so close.
It's going to be a Leicester-style Premiership victory. So we shall see. We shall see. Well, Connor, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Do you want to say a little bit about your channel, a bit of history about the Cops Council?
Yeah, so of course, Liverpool-based content. If you guys want to come and check us out, then yeah, that'd be very much appreciated. Do, of course, match preview shows, do transfer videos, match reactions. We have a whole load of Liverpool fans on. We talk, about, of course, the Reds. And I don't mind the odds rival fan, as long as, no, I'm not going to use the word I was going to use, but, unless if you're nice, then, you're welcome. realistically. But yeah, look, welcome
Friendly
to all
banter.
fans.
Friendly
Really.
banter.
Yeah, friendly banter. Look, but you've got to have a bit of banter in football.
Yeah.
I think that's a key, to be honest with you. And I like the banter back and forth anyway with rival fans, but you do tend to have a bit of the not so nice ones, to be fair. But to be honest with you, I love talking about football. It's not only Liverpool. Football, when football was stopped, in the first lockdown, I was like, there's nothing to do. Like life is useless without football. And
Right.
football, I think, is been such a key to the 2020 anyway, and it will be a key going forward anyway. But yeah, if you want to come and check us out, then please come and check us over, and we'll welcome you with some open arms, really. But if you're like, maybe
I respect that. I respect the honesty.
I love the honesty. That's absolutely fantastic. I'll definitely stick in the details to the COP Council in the description section below. So definitely go and check it out and subscribe as always. So again, Connor, thank you for joining us. Jack, thank you for joining. Anything else you want to chuck in here, Jack?
All I'm going to say is, we're only 4 points off of the top, and it's four losses in 24 games, mate. So all I'm saying is, if consistency is key to this league,
and you only need 80 points to win it.
We'll see you in Europe next season.
What were you singing last night, Jack? You were singing Johnson Paint Trophy. You'll never win that.
That is true. You will never win a Johnson's Paint Trophy, and that's something you're going to have to deal with.
I don't think I want to win it, to be fair.
No, it's the Papa John's Trophy now, so that's even better.
Yeah, that's quite something.
Free pizza, happy days.
Exactly.
The boys love it. The players love it. Nothing like a Papa John's after 90 minutes.
Fantastic. Well, thanks to everyone in the chat section for joining us. Just looking through it, it appears that Spurs have gone through to the Carabao Cup final. So they will be joined by either Man City or Man United. That'll be a fun one, wouldn't it? There we go.
All shaping up to a 0-0 final with a very dry penalty shootout.
That's it, Jack. Sell it. Definitely sell it.
Hey, these two teams aren't in it. Who cares? Right? Am I right, boys? Am I right?
Who cares? Who cares?
Well, as always, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one. All right. Cheers. See ya.
Ta-da. Has he frozen out of it again? Look at him. Look at his frozen little face.
Oh, no.
No, look at him. Every time. He's got these new fancy cameras and he thinks he's the business, but what do they do every time? I watched the post. Oh, he's back. He's back. I watched the post match from last night. I enjoyed your show.
Oh, thank you. I was like freaking. I opened it up and I was like, well, that was shit, and it was just proper shite.
Yeah, I get it. I understand your pain. When I got into work this morning, everybody was talking about furloughing, and nobody watched the game. They all watched that speech, and it was I couldn't talk about it with no one.
we were like, if thingy Brexit down. Are we still live?
It's still live.
Oh no, hello.
You haven't said anything offensive, have you?
No,
not yet.
Very good. Well, that was fun, everyone. I'll try to be clever with all the outros. So,
see, I was just making fun of you for not being able to do it properly. So we're fine.
It did it last night as well. So sorry about that. But anyway, no outro. I'm just going to say bye-bye. See you later.